Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a county is in shock after the recent death of a student who was killed by a school bus. And as the election draws closer, organizers are advocating against Amendment 2, which would send tax money to private schools.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. I'm Madison Carmouche. We're coming up on 5 o'clock this morning. Today is September 4th, 2024. And you know, Tim, we talked about it before, but my favorite part of summer is that it's not cold outside in the morning. I was a little chilly this morning, so let's send it over to meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast.
A little chilly yesterday morning. No, it was a lot chilly yesterday morning. A little chilly this morning. Yeah, I think I see a trend here, Madison. 59. We got the cloud cover issues across the region. A few locations with a little low clouds and some fog. So just keep that in mind. This is not a widespread problem across the Commonwealth this Wednesday morning. It is 64 in Moorhead, 64 as well at the London Corbin Airport, 63 at Jonesville. And good morning to you in Prestonsburg. You're at 61. A lot of clouds across eastern and southern Kentucky, all the way back through western Kentucky, a prevailing theme that we expected for today. Brighter, though, for tomorrow. Check it out. We're going to be partly sunny today. We're going to keep it rain-free like we promised, and a forecast high of close to 80. More about your ARH First Alert 7-day forecast and more cool mornings ahead. That's all coming up as we push through this 5 o'clock hour. Madison, back to you.
All right, Tim, thank you. A teenager is dead after the coroner says she was hit by a school bus in Clark County. She has been identified as 15-year-old McKenna Letcher. It happened at approximately 6:45 yesterday morning at the intersection of Veterans Memorial Parkway and Ironworks Road in Winchester. Letcher was a freshman at George Rogers Clark High School. One child says she and another student were the oldest on the bus, both just 10 years old. The rest of the kids were in elementary school.
It was very, very scary. And then you also have these other little bitties. They're just trying to keep them occupied up there so they don't look at any of it.
The Clark County Sheriff's Office is investigating what led to the crash. Clark County Superintendent Dustin Howard says grief staff will be available district-wide for as long as needed. Governor Andy Beshear took to social media in response to yesterday morning's tragedy. He says, quote, "My heart aches for the family and friends of this precious child lost in this tragedy. Please join Brittany and me in lifting up the Clark County community in prayers and comfort," end quote. And another school bus incident yesterday, this one in Bell County. Bell County Schools Superintendent Tom Gramble says the bus was driving down the road in the Kettle Island community when a vehicle traveling in the opposite direction did not give the bus enough room to pass. The back wheels of the bus then left the roadway, causing it to fall into a ditch. 3 students were on the bus at the time. No injuries were reported, but one student was taken by family members to the hospital to be checked out. Yesterday, some public education advocates voiced their concerns about Constitutional Amendment 2. The measure will be on Kentucky ballots in November. Organizers spoke about how they feel Amendment 2 would negatively impact communities throughout the Commonwealth. If passed, some public funds would be able to be distributed to private schools.
And instead of making our public schools better for all our kids, politicians in Frankfort want to rob public schools and give a select few students a voucher to go to private school. The government shouldn't be picking winners and losers. We should be helping all of our children get off to a great start.
A spokesperson for the group Kentucky Students First Yes on 2, who are in favor of the amendment, says, quote, "Amendment 2 puts students first and gives parents more control over their children's education. It updates language in Kentucky's Constitution and allows our legislature to design and fund education choice programs. School choice has broad support from both sides of the political aisle. red states and blue states alike. Kentucky is one of only two states without school choice, end quote. The first day of the 2024 Kentucky Emergency Services Conference has wrapped up in Louisville yesterday. Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman spoke during the opening ceremony. She highlighted changes the Beshear administration made to better support first responders and 911 dispatchers from across Kentucky. Coleman also made a point to thank workers for their sacrifice during the catastrophic events that have hit Kentucky in the past few years.
When you think of everything that we've been through, from the pandemic to the historic tornadoes in West Kentucky and the catastrophic flooding in East Kentucky, we would be telling a very different story were it not for your sacrifice in putting others above yourselves.
The conference will continue through Friday. 35 counties in Kentucky Wildlands region were deemed eligible of National Heritage Area status by the National Park Service. If approved by Congress, the Kentucky Wildlands would be the first National Heritage Area in the Commonwealth. Director Tammy Nazario says they are already preparing for the next steps.
Through that, we'll build a management plan, and so the first steps of that is to look at our infrastructure and what needs focus, what priorities do we have, and how do we build on what we already have as we move forward.
To be designated, a region needs to show it's educationally, recreationally, culturally, historically, and naturally worth national recognition. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell released a statement about this, saying, quote, "Securing Kentucky's first National Heritage Area has been a project years in the making, and I'm grateful to see our state move one step closer to securing this designation. I've been proud to partner with Congressman Hal Rogers over the years to help advance this effort and tap into Eastern Kentucky's great potential," end quote. Thanks for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. When we return, should students be allowed to use cell phones in school? That's the question as schools across the country start to ban phones.
Waking up to a cool start across the Commonwealth, not as cold as it was in some locations yesterday morning. Can we brighten things up again? We'll let you know. Your ARH First Alert 7-day forecast is coming up right after this.